It's a strangely peaceful, reassuring world, the wheat fields of America. Hard even to imagine that the most destructive weapons in history are hidden away under these farms.
How big is this base?
You're talking about for all the missiles, where all the missiles are at, there's 12,000 square miles.
Kind of the size of a small state, isn't it?
That's correct.
And right now, at Warren Air Force Base, biggest ICBM base in the United States, it's really business as usual as it was during the Cold War on some level.
Without question, we do business as usual, just like you said, and nothing has changed.
Colonel Stacker, sorry to interrupt. The
Yes.
launch facility is 12 o'clock, approximately 3.5 miles.
This is the entrance to a nuclear launch control center. It's designed to look perfectly innocuous. 55 identical facilities like this one are spread all across the American West.
Watch your head, your step.
And in every one of them, 2 young launch officers, missileers as they call themselves, serving on combat alert.
Lieutenant Namath and Lieutenant Del Toro. How old are you?
25.
And how long have you been a missileer?
For a year now.
Is there ever any question in your mind that you would be willing to launch one of these ICBMs?
Well, that's why we're here. I mean, if there were any doubt in any of our minds that we wouldn't do it, then we wouldn't be here.
We signed up knowing that whatever it takes to protect our country, we will do, and no second guessing whatsoever.
10 Minutemen intercontinental ballistic missiles, poised and ready to launch in minutes. And everywhere we went, that was the message of the missileers.
If it comes down to us having to launch a missile, then I'm sure that it's definitely necessary for us to do that to defend our country, and I will do that.
Do you think that it's possible that most Americans have forgotten that you're down there on alert?
They have. I'm sure they have.
They have what?
Forgotten. There's a lot of Americans that don't realize that we're still pulling alerts 24/7. Every single day we're down there defending this country.
Now, isn't that strange?
Actually, I think that's kind of reassuring because we do our job so well that they can put it behind them and say, hey, we're safe tonight to sleep.
Safe, they say, because while America sleeps, they're standing guard, prepared to launch.
So I think the question is, what makes them do it? What makes them go down into that silo for a 24-hour?
But it's kind of like what makes a submariner go undersea for 70 days at a time.
And more important, what makes them ultimately willing to follow through and execute the launch of weapons that would result in really the destruction, death of millions?
It's just a duty, a mission that we're called upon to do, to react to presidential orders. Being a civilian, I guess it would be hard to kind of comprehend that, but that's why we feel that no country would ever do that to ours.
For most Americans, those missileers simply don't exist. This is the 21st century, and America is on top. The world's lone superpower. Music, sports, billionaires, IPOs. It's all happening here, and nothing seems big or menacing enough to stop it. About the last thing on anyone's mind is the idea that we may be just minutes from doomsday. Up here in space, America is king. Most of these commercial satellites were born in the USA. But the real power in space belongs to the satellites you never see. Look carefully at this one. It's ready to signal the launch of a nuclear attack. It's part of an elaborate network of military satellites that were built to spy on the Soviet Union. And today, nearly a decade after the end of the Cold War, Russia is still their primary target. This is what they are looking at, Russia's nuclear empire. And this is what they were built to spot. A Russian ICBM launch. Check your watches. From the time this missile leaves its silo, It's 30 minutes until it could hit the United States of America.
A missile launch from, say, Russia would be detected within seconds.
General Chuck Horner is best known as the mastermind of the Allied air campaign during the 1991 Gulf War.
There it goes.
But from 1992 to 1994, General Horner commanded this mysterious facility, built to warn America about the one threat it has no defense against: nuclear weapons.
We have no ballistic missile defenses.
So if a missile comes in, there's nothing to be done about it.
Duck.
NORAD. It's America's early warning center, buried deep underneath Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado.
Cheyenne Mountain is a very interesting place. You drive in this huge tunnel, and when you get about half a mile or so down the road, 2 huge blast doors are there. And you suddenly come upon a steel building, not unlike a ship, if you will, housed in this huge cavity in the mountain. The building itself sits on these giant springs. And the idea of those springs is, when a nuclear detonation occurs and shakes the whole mountain, the building will be able to resist this shock and won't be destroyed.
And the moment a missile launch is detected here, a countdown begins, because they only have minutes to confirm if the rocket is coming their way. You only have, what, 3 minutes to make a determination as to whether or not the information indicates an attack.
We talk about 3 minutes to provide the president with a characterization of an attack on North America.
Not much time.
Very quick.
Just 3 minutes. That's why the early warning commander is not the man with his finger on the nuclear trigger.
The beauty of the system we have is you do not have the person that cries the attack is coming be the same person with their finger on the trigger. There's no doubt about it. You want your commander of NORAD, the guy who warns of attack, to err on the side of caution. On the other hand, since you want to have good deterrence based on threat, then the commander of strategic forces has to be very aggressive, has to be a person who is out to end the world with great enthusiasm.
4-star General Eugene Habiger was one of those men with his finger on the trigger. He was America's nuclear commander until 1998.
The only time I ever thought I'd see Moscow from the air was in a B-52 at 300 feet, getting ready to drop a nuclear weapon.
From here, General Habiger headed the U.S. Strategic Command, in charge of all of America's nuclear forces: land, sea, and air. STRATCOM's mission, unchanged since the height of the Cold War, to stand ready within minutes to retaliate massively.
People assume when the Cold War was over, nuclear weapons went away. They have not. There's only one thing that can destroy the United States of America as we know it today, and that's those Russian nuclear warheads.
30 minutes as a missile flies. Russia's hidden nuclear empire, intact to this day. It stretches across 11 time zones, a network of secret cities and bases that appear on no map. Thousands of nuclear warheads still on full combat alert.
The loser didn't lose, and the loser doesn't think he lost, and the loser is not acting like he lost, and has not acted like he lost since 1991.
At the end of the Cold War, both sides quickly cut their arsenals from about 10,000 warheads to 6,000 each. It appeared that the old nuclear face-off was coming to a close. But since then, in spite of years of negotiations, no further reductions have been implemented. Undersecretary of Defense Walter Slocum is the man who watches over U.S. nuclear policy. Why does the United States today still need thousands of nuclear warheads when the Cold War has been over for so long?
Because we think it's important to have a hedge against the possibility of problems in the future.
What does that mean, a hedge?
We cannot be absolutely certain